What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. At Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below, as usual, right? Go get it. PayPal information in the link below too. Go get it. This video is entitled "The Black Men Who Don't Want to Be Toxic." There's a push and pull in our society, in our culture. You know, productive black men versus unproductive black men, but also black men who don't want to be toxic, who are separating themselves from toxic behavior and negativity. And you see our community and the American society having a problem with that, because for the most part, American culture is a negative culture. So what a lot of us think is normal is negative behavior, is toxic behavior. So when you see people who are checking out of toxic behavior, it's like a culture shock for some people. Like, no, you can't. No, you can't leave me. No, this is what you're supposed to be. And it's like a lot of brothers don't want to be toxic no more. Now, and some of these brothers weren't toxic to begin with, but they don't even want to be associated with toxic. They don't want to be associated with negativity. And there's some of us that are so deep in it, there ain't no coming out. You know, because to come out of that negative mindset, you actually have to give away your company, and you don't want to leave misery. You know, you just don't want to leave misery. So because you don't want to leave misery, you don't want other brothers to leave misery. You know, this is part of the crabs in the barrel mentality. It's not always racial or ideology. Well, it's ideology, but it's not always racial or economic. A lot of it's ideology of toxic behavior, because nobody wants to plant their flag at a toxic place. You don't want to build your house on a toxic place. So you see brothers who you know have two diametrically opposed views, so they differ on approach in life, and one may be positive and one may be negative. You figure out who's which one. But it looks to me as though the guy who has the more positive outlook and the more positive direction is getting attacked by the guys who are accustomed to negativity. You know, not saying the person with the more positive mindset is always correct, because I don't think that's true either. But I think they're more so correct than the guys with the negative mindsets. So, you know, well, I'm gonna do, you know, so you're not a real man because you're not as negative as me, type of thing is going on. You know, you're not as toxic as me, so you're not a real man, right? And then you have the ladies, oh, that's toxic masculinity, but you know, when the men want positivity, the women have a problem with that also. You know, it's like you can't be around a man who's positive. If he's not toxic, or if he's not committed to being toxic with you, then that's what makes him unattractive and lame, so on and so forth, you know. So now what? You know, now you got a community who doesn't want to admit it's toxic. Same thing when we may address racial issues in this country. Other groups bring up their deflective points, and they're distracted, and they're smoke and mirrors, and their distractions and their projections, because if we decide, if we make the decision, I'm not going to be toxic with you, they just reaching like, what about? But what about? Look, man, you're toxic. You're negative. That's what it is. I don't need to be around you and your behavior. But maybe, you're the most. Nah, because if we're gonna be honest about American culture, that's why I said American culture is negative. I mean, historically, white culture is toxic and negative. It hasn't brought anything positive to anybody globally. You know, you know, we pretty much say, because they have the most money at the end of the day from their toxic negative behavior, that's what makes them right. But all they did globally was bring negativity. Wherever they went, negativity ensued. Toxic behavior ensued. So, and it's hard for culture to go, I can't believe this. Maybe you're stupid because you don't know how to be super toxic to beat me being toxic. And it's like, I'm glad that you really haven't touched into reality yet. But like I said, it's an issue. It's a very, very big issue, because now what's going on is, even when it comes to the fixing and the rebuilding of Black America, if you listen to the people's arguments, it involves the people. It absolves the people who are toxic and negative, that keep the negativity and the toxic nature of our culture going downward, and it wants the people who are positive and who are functional to rebuild everything. And this is the backwards part of it, because let's be honest, we're at a state where people want to be exalted without examination. And what I mean by that is, thug behavior wanted to be exalted, or negative behavior wants to be exalted over positive behavior, but they don't want to be evaluated. The women want to be exalted over the men, but they don't want to be evaluated. The parenting wants to be exalted, but the parenting skills don't want to be examined. The networking in the community wants to be promoted and exalted, but what we have to network with and shouldn't be examined. And that's a big problem. Big problem. Because now you want a group of people who are looking for a peaceful, productive society to go from their vantage point and then immerse themselves into negativity and toxicity, and then emanate functionality and positivity outward in the mix of a toxic community, which winds up happening, which winds up doing what? Creating cultural conflict. Because negative people don't want to be positive. Toxic people don't want to be functional. Because what we're seeing is people who have these backwards mentalities, these backwards ideologies, these backwards behaviors, creating, backwards results, but also mental illness. But they want to keep the behaviors and the ideologies, but they just want to get rid of the mental illness. But they're tied together. They go hand in hand. You can't be combative and want love. You can't be unproductive and want wealth. You can't be how can you can't be homosexual and want family. You get what I'm saying? You can't be pro-black, but but only pro-black but you can't be pro-black but pro-gender, or or pro-white. No. You can't be pro-black, but you're not pro-black economically. That's what I'm trying to say. So we're doing things that are counterproductive, and we want the productive people to drag a majority of people kicking and screaming out of dysfunction into functionality. But at the same time, these people are going to fight. These people are going to fight too. Like, if you look at America, what happens when non-black, when black Americans put non-black Americans on the hot seat? They fight tooth and nail. They sound stupid half of the time. It sounds really dumb. They're excuses. And then then technology shows them to be hypocrites, and they're stuck, and they just try to move on to the next subject, and it happens over and over and over again, and the country gets worse and worse and worse. Thus, this is why we're economically where we're at. This is why we're globally, on the perception-wise, where we're at. This is why everybody is on this. The energy is the precipice of a crumbling empire is where it is today. So, and then people get mad because people are like, you know what, let it fall down, burn. We'll sort it out after it's over with. Because the toxic people, cannot exist in a functional society, and they're gonna need an Armageddon-esque moment to make the choice to either be functional or dysfunctional. So this is my little rant on this one. So we out. Peace.